Social Currents, and I'm Jay Otway. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. With me today to talk about the latest news in social media, I have three of Asia's finest socialistas. First is Jocelyn Leapfert, who gives a wave, Jocelyn. Head of the Digital Arts Network, head of social for Digital Arts Network at TBWA here in Hong Kong. Always great to have you on the show. Haven't had you for a few weeks. Great to have you back. You've been traveling, right?
Yes.
Where have you been?
Back and forth to Shanghai and then a Texas wedding.
Wow. International woman of mystery. We also have the talented and creative Fernando Gross, who has got a wonderful bookshelf stocked with some of the very finest books in the world. For those of you who don't recognize it, that is my book on his bookshelf behind you. Thank you, Fernando. Very kind of you for plugging me. Fernando's a musician, photographer, blogger, and social media critic. General man of great creativity. Who you do some podcasts and what other sort of things are you up to these days, Fernando?
Well, I'm running a film podcast and currently rebuilding my music studio here in Singapore, which will be feeding my blog for the next few months.
The feeding it in terms of pictures of the build rather than music.
Exactly, yeah. And then music.
All right, well, keep us posted on the music in particular. I'm looking forward to it. And once again, thank you, Andrew Layden, joining us from his
bedroom,
his secret lab high above Hong Kong in
but I'll put my book on the shelf too, the book I wrote. So
there you go. All right.
now
free plug Friday. Go ahead. It's all right. You wrote something about the Gulf War. What was? Tell us about this book. I don't know.
It's actually interesting. This I worked on Capitol Hill for a number of years.
Yeah.
I was there during the Gulf War, and I prepared pretty massive briefing books on the war for members of Congress. Mm-hmm. And after that was done, I had just volumes of material, and this thing called the World Wide Web just started out.
Yeah, I've heard about that thing.
Yeah, so I threw it up as a website when I went off to law school, and then I kind of forgot about it. And then I get a call from a guy who says, hey, I'm a military history publisher, and I love all your stuff. Can we work it into a book? I'm like, yeah, sure, cool. So my first book was published my third year of law school. So
congratulations.
Yeah, what the heck.
What are you doing these days?
I have my mother is in town, her first trip to Asia. So
I was thinking work, but yeah.
Work,
yeah. Your mom's here.
That is work.
Your mom's not here. What are you doing?
Nothing. Just writing some more apps. Mostly some medical apps, healthcare apps right now.
Right, and Andrew's known for a pollution measuring or reporting app. I suppose it doesn't actually measure the pollution.
No, it takes
people measure it. You report it, and it rates it against international standards.
Which upsets the locals.
Right, because here in Hong Kong, international standards are too strict. Too strict.
They have a Western bias.
By international standards, we're poisoning ourselves every day.
Yeah.
Introductions out of the way. I suppose quickly, I'm Jay Otway, author, social media consultant, speaker, former tech journalist, and now host of Google Plus talk show. Also co-founder, along with Jocelyn and Fernando, of HK Social, a monthly meetup for social media professionals, not maybe professionals, but social media workers, social media practitioners, people who use social media at work or play, who get together once a month, hang out and chat and talk about stuff. But once a month wasn't enough, which is why we're here today to talk about stuff more regularly. So, on with the show. The first item yesterday, out of the blue, God bless them. I'm going to share my little screen here. Our friends over at Edelman produced this little beauty off of Edelman's tweet level measurement tool. There's a little infographic they put together of the most key Twitter influencers in Hong Kong markets. And yeah, pretty much everybody we know is on here. Jocelyn and I got rated in the social media category, along with our friend Bess Hepworth, who's also been a guest here on the show. Hyper Casey, Casey Lau, and our good friend Andrew Layden here, Penguin 6, we're tops in tech. Kay Ross, who's also an HK Social founder in PR and marketing, and Elle Lee, who we was hoping to join us today but hasn't made it, in the lifestyle, food, and fashion category, also an HK Social founder. Now, you know, I'm no stranger to the. I'm obviously a stranger to technology today. There we go. Switch that back.
2 J's.
Yay! All right. It's hard being producer and host at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it, but obviously I'm still learning. Anyway, so I've been on influence charts before. I made the Forbes top 50 social media power influencers beginning of the year, and I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because it's kind of meaningless. I've got a whole third of my book explaining why all these charts and numbers don't really mean very much. I'm over it. I like it because you get a little lift because everybody circulates it and has your name on it. So for today, you know, we got a lot more people going, "Yay, congratulations," and touching base with you, and that's always fun and lovely. You know, but what do you guys think? I mean, Jocelyn, are you digging this? I mean, I haven't seen you on as many lists. Is it more fun for you, or do you care?
Well, to me, I always find like when I'm looking at these tools from a business perspective, my feeling is always that they're a good indication of broad trends or broad places to look or people to check out. But then when you dig into the algorithms, everyone kind of keeps them under wraps how they actually determine these things. So it makes me a little bit skeptical. But I mean, no, I think it's quite interesting, and I guess they were slightly accurate for Hong Kong market. I wouldn't say that anyone that was on that list shouldn't have been there necessarily, but I'm sure that there are lots of other people that also stick on that list.
I shouldn't have been on the list. I was shocked.
Andrew,
Really? But you're on Twitter all the time.
No, I mean, Google Plus is my where I'm at all the time. It just kind of was shocked. And then, you know, I was up there with the guys from Engadget and Hyper Casey, who runs his own tech blog and stuff. I think it might just be, I tweet a lot about the Apple Store because I'm usually down by it. I see, you know, when the police are dragging someone out or something like that. But I was kind of surprised. I don't know.
They're dragging out Android users or something.
Yeah, get out of here, Jay. But, you know, what the value of it is like my Clout Score, which I have absolutely no idea what it is this week. You know, what am I going to get? 25 free Moo cards, I think, is the only perk I've qualified for.
Yeah, I attached it on that one, too.
Yeah, and since I don't really sell any tech products or anything like that, and I've never been approached by any company to tweet on their behalf or something like that. Hey, baby, we'll see. It'll be an interesting test now that I'm officially cool. I'll see if anything comes of that.
Fernando, you deleted your Clout Score a while back, right?
I did. I deleted it, I think, end of last year or beginning of this year, and I wrote a fairly lengthy article on my blog about it as well.
What's the short version of the blog post?
The short version of the blog post really matches up with what Jocelyn said, that you get these things that put a ranking number next to your name or next to your avatar, and there's a lot of kind of mystery and subterfuge as to how they work that number out. And I have a natural aversion to being given a grade or a score for any activity that I do. I think, you know, as a human, you want to be assessed and you want to be validated, but I just didn't believe the Clout Score stood for anything meaningful. And respect to all you guys, but I kept seeing people who I thought were real thought and opinion leaders in discrete areas, people that I attuned to had really low Clout Scores. And then there were people who were just blasting all sorts of random stuff out into the internet, and they had really high Clout Scores. So it just didn't measure up with what I was seeing. And I think one of the beauties of social media is that we have generalists who reach a lot of people, but we also are able to tap into real specialists who are influential in discrete areas. And I thought Clout was doing a terrible job of measuring that.
Yeah, I mean, Clout's made some changes. They've got a new Clout timeline, which sort of helps you more track the the items that you've put up that have had a lot of traction. And I think that's kind of a good thing to know. It's interesting to sort of see the stuff that they're basically saying, look, you put this up and it generated a ton of the sort of signals that we measure to sort of decide who's influential and who's not. I still hate the word influential. I think the way that it's used is misleading. I think the profiles that are up there, I mean, all the people on that list, I mean, I know almost everybody there. Absolutely. They are interesting people, and I think that's a good word. They're active. They have a very active online presence. Those are good words to describe them. But yeah, the idea of being influential. In my book, I describe how what I call these online influence scores, they are social credit. We build social capital, the way you were saying, like between individuals, right? Between us, we share things, we exchange things, we have a relationship, and we trust each other. So if I say, guys, you really have to go check out this, you go and check it out, not because I've got a clout score, but because we've developed trust. But if you've never met me before, right, then I'm running on social credit, which is where these numbers like clout score and the tweet level come in. And there's a number beside me, and then people make all sorts of crazy assumptions. Oh, you have a big number, ergo, we should put you in the table by the window. Which, by the way, has never happened to me as of yet. But
I think I got upgraded at a hotel once because I was tweeting with the hotel guy before I went, and but that was about the only benefit. And then, of course, I tweeted after because it was a nice hotel.
How about you, Jocelyn? Is there all the freebies and perks and joys of your clout score?
Oh, well, honestly, well, there have been a couple random things from time to time, but yeah, like it's always kind of a pleasant surprise, like when you're going on a trip or you mention a particular hotel or a place you want to try as a restaurant and you hear back from them. I think that's quite nice, and they give you some kind of perk because of that. I think that's quite good when I see that, but yeah, I don't know. We did a lot of training internally recently to get a lot of people who weren't already on Twitter kind of trained up and using it on a personal level. And we had a huge conversation about clout score, and it was kind of interesting because a lot of people who had just signed up for Twitter, and I wouldn't say they have necessarily very active social presences, had ridiculously high clout scores. So I really have a lot of questions about how it works. And for someone who is, I'm not a huge Twitter user, but I would say fairly regular, but it's kind of frustrating to feel like you've put in these years and someone who jumps on last week has like double your clout score. It doesn't really make sense.
But you're using it as a tool, again, to sort of help measure how people are progressing and getting better. And you and I worked on that at a previous agency that you worked at when you were sort of trying to bring that team up to speed, and you put a contest in place. And our friend Elle Lee, who's because I couldn't quite make it today, but it's also on the Twitter influencer list. She was shooting up because she really almost immediately got it, and it was good to sort of have a tool like that where you could measure people's sort of progress as to whether they were doing the sort of things that get you noticed online.
Yeah.
But doesn't make you an influential person, though? It means that you're getting skillful with a tool.
Yeah, I agree. And I noticed that a couple people who I've known over the years who are kind of passive Twitter users who have ridiculously high clout scores use a lot of things like Tweet Feeder to automate content. And I'm like, that's not really owning content or owning an opinion or having influence. It's just getting the amount of content that you're sharing on a daily basis up, which plays into that as well. So there are just so many different factors that it's so hard to isolate any one of those or really say that they all point to this one answer of whether someone's influential or not.
Yeah, I've got this new thing about like there was a time I definitely when Clout came along at a time when we were still looking at follow counts as a means of influence, right? How many followers you had was like this really important thing. In fact, that's still obviously a signal in all of these Twitter scores. I've got the biggest number on that chart, and it's not because I've been producing the most Twitter content this year. Quite the opposite. I've been very, very absent on Twitter compared to what I used to be. And And so I sort of had this idea about if I could step back from the crazy process. I used to put 200 tweets up a day, really religious about scheduling them through U.S. primetime hours, so I got so many people in the U.S. who follow me, and just being really smart about how I used all the tools. And I could really elevate my score. But it's been fun over the last year to sort of now, I talked to a lot of people about, well, I don't want to know what your best clout score can be, what you can really push it up to. I want to know what your resting clout score is.
Yeah.
It's like your resting heart rate. If you do nothing, absolutely nothing, right, where does it settle? That's I'm more keen on that. I think that's actually a more interesting number for it, not rather where you can get it to if you really lean on all the levers.
Yeah, exactly. I would totally agree with that.
Any other thoughts on influence, folks?
I just feel like, listening to the conversation between you, Jay, and Jocelyn is fascinating to me, because it feels like learning to play a game. And I wonder, obviously in some certain situations that may have some value to it, but I'm just not sure what the point is of playing a game to get a higher score on something that, attaches a number to you. And I think the example that you gave is that, if you regurgitate lots and lots of recycled content at the right kinds of hours, that gets you a better score. But I find that kind of stuff a bit annoying, to be honest with you. I kind of wish fewer people did that. And, the content that people did put out had higher value associated to each individual retweet or whatever else. Because at the end of the day, we don't have the time. I was going to say I'm constantly unfollowing people. It's probably not quite true, but I'm frequently unfollowing people or assigning them to lower priority lists because they push too much stuff out, and I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, I filter failure is the biggest problem for me as well. It's trying to create filters that just continue to give me the best stuff. And again, it's the amount of time I have to dedicate to it, and it's not what it used to be. I used to be able to sit and stare at TweetDeck, 12 hours a day. Sadly, I often even, people are like, you don't respond on Twitter, it takes you hours. I'm like, well, that's because that's the frequency I'm checking it now. There was a time where it would have been seconds, but honestly, it's not that important anymore.
Doing other things.
Yeah, work. Trying to write real things. Okay.
Video
speaking
games.
of real things, Groupon currently experiencing some trouble right now. A lot of people sort of wondering how long it's got left in it. And
what time is it?
What's that?
What time is it?
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts? I've met the Groupon guys a few times. I bumped into them most notably at Asia D about this time last year, and they literally cornered me in the elevator on the way down the Grand Hyatt, and they said, when are you going to start tweeting about us? When are you going to write about us? And I said, well, when you guys get social. And they said, we are social. Group buying is social. And I was pretty much, no, that's not true. What you're doing is just couponing, and I don't believe there's a community there of any sort. What do you guys think? Is group buying social activity? Is Groupon, was it ever social?
No, it was annoying. It's just always annoying. I hated the whole process. I never really got a deal. When I factor in the coupons I ended up not using because the restaurant closed or something bizarre, and then if you really Googled hard and you found out that the Mickey Mouse watch you were buying for £10 was actually only £8 on Amazon or something like that. It was just an annoying process. It never was social of any sort. Nobody said, occasionally people would say, hey, let's they would send me a tweet, hey, there's a good deal, but I just never really went with them or anything like that. I think the whole market's falling. If you look at Living Social, had massive layoffs this week, almost 10% of their entire workforce. The whole group buying concept is on its death step, I think.
Well, I think display ads in general are in big trouble. I think Facebook, which is pretty much re-geared itself to make display ads its primary business model. Well, that and making us pay to put a post up. Yeah, it's not a great business. And the thing is, a lot of people believe that buying a display ad on Facebook is social marketing.
Well, the other thing is the ad blocker usage has just gone through the roof over the last 12 months. Google Chrome has a number of ad blockers inside it, and one of the more famous bloggers, Chris Pirillo out of Seattle, wrote a pretty detailed post saying, listen, I know you guys don't like ads, but this is how we live. Even an accidental click once a year helps us keep putting the content up. And if you're going to run ad blockers, then we're going to start doing some countermeasures, I think.
Countermeasures.
Well, it's pretty easy to do, actually. You can write some code that detects the ad blocker and then tells the person to, get stuffed. Or you can be nice and say, please turn your ad blocker off. I need the money. Or you could say, here, go look at some other site if you don't want to pay for it or don't want to look at the ads.
Hey, Jocelyn, any suggestions on how group buying could be more social?
Well, to me, the way I think about group buying is that I think a lot of the reason why Groupon and Living Social got so big in the first place is because they were using social marketing, but I don't think from a consumer point of view it was as social as other social media platforms that people use to communicate with friends and family in their networks. So I feel like, to me, the whole group buying thing was kind of a fad. Like, I can't even think of the last time someone told me that they bought something on Groupon. Like, it's become they haven't been able to really develop a sustainable and social business model, I guess. And to me, I don't know. I just think that from consumer point of view, it was never really social, except for the odd time every now and then, like Andrew mentioned, that you'd say to your friends, hey, let's go in on this and do this together. But it wasn't crucial to the business model by any means.
There's a mutual acquaintance we have, Jennifer Chang here, who first was You Buy, I Buy, which then that got bought by Groupon. Then she went and set up Be Crazy?
Be Crazy,
and
yes.
then that got bought up by Living Social, right? And so she did a wonderful job, but she was always a feature at all the social media events, right? She was a big player in social media weeks. For much of the last couple of years, she and the group buying concept has been very much like included in the social media discussion.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking back on that and thinking, what were we thinking? Like, at no point ever in there was anybody really building. Now, she's doing some cooler stuff now where, like, her Glam Girl stuff is actually about building a community of buyers and having them in one place and then offering them goods. And I sort of think that she's got that idea of sort of shifting, where you bring a community together either around a personality, which they did with Glamabox and Lisa S.
Or like Plucka.
Yeah.
Plucka.com, another Hong Kong company.
And I love Joanne Oy, and I love to plug her Plucka. She also comes and helps speak at HK Social and bailed us out a bit last month. We like Joanne a lot. But I've also been critical of her approach to it as well. She's got this really nice reverse auction thing where the price gets lower the more people that pile in. But the thing needs to be socialized. It needs to have a share this button. Now, maybe the problem is, like, and I think what she explained to me is, like, if you're buying a piece of cool, like, jewelry, you don't want your friends to all have it, right, Jocelyn?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, this is girl stuff. I'm out of this.
So for her, it's a bit problematic in a way, because if you get all your friends to buy the same jewelry as you, then none of you can ever wear it, because you don't accidentally want to wear it at the same time. You have to, like, tweet every time that you're putting it on so that nobody else wears it, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but I guess
it doesn't. Obviously, group buying doesn't work with everything. It only works with stuff where everybody wants the same thing, or everybody gets value out of buying the same thing.
Yeah. I think also from the brand perspective, it's been quite interesting, because I know that as group buying evolved, first, they were going with small mom and pop shops and giving them, like, big exposure, and quickly moved through FMCG brands. But and then they were trying really hard to push luxury brands for a while. But I just felt that for any brand, there's not really a lasting scope to do group buying as a sales tactic or as a marketing tactic as well. And I think for a lot of, I mean, it's always challenging for brands that are trying to jump on these trends and find a way to make it work for them. But I think that for luxury brands in particular, it was really, really difficult to find an effective way to do that. And yeah, I don't see a lot of lasting power.
The Groupon promise was that they could get their ads in front of so many people that they could drive enormous numbers. Therefore, you could give the steepest possible discount. And all they proved was yes, the internet loves a discount. Woohoo! Surprise, surprise. Who knew that was going to happen? And for a while, they were listed as one of the fastest growing internet companies ever. But they've also discovered very quickly that people generate ad blindness. That little Groupon block up in the corner, you immediately recognize it and tune it out. Andrew, I don't think I need ad blockers. My brain does a fine job.
Yeah, you do. You do blind them out, but some people run them. Lose those accidental clicks.
All right, now Fernanda, you mentioned to me, I need your help. Fill me in on this the iOS wallet thing. It's a skeuomorphic thing that looks like a wallet, and Qantas is doing something. Is there a social opportunity that's sort of arising with this thing? What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, it's been one of those new features in iOS that a lot of people have been critical because the wallet, as you say, hasn't been filled, and Qantas have jumped on it. At this stage, I haven't been able to use it to know what a social possibility with it is. But it's a nut that people have been trying to crack for a long time of making travel more social. And we have various different ways to do that. And when you start getting your travel details in your smartphone without having to then activate something else, it suggests to me a possibility to make travel more social because your details are already in there. At the iOS level.
Jocelyn, you've been working travel and social clients and things for a while, right?
Actually, not so much. Maybe more on the hospitality and less on the airline side.
And how do you feel that side's going in terms of getting social?
In terms of hotel side of hospitality, well, I guess it varies a bit from. I think it's quite. It's good to be seeing this level of innovation for a brand like Qantas looking to explore that. I think that's good. But when I look at I think a lot of brands more on the hotel hospitality end have kind of, they've got their pages up on TripAdvisor and they've got their Facebook pages and all this kind of stuff, but it's all very social media 1.0 and haven't really evolved beyond that in many instances. So, I guess what can be learned from the Qantas end is like looking how you can take digital technology and be reinventing your business model so that it's more consumer centric, which somehow perhaps in Qantas they'll find a way to make it more intrinsically social as well.
I want them to be looking at my cloud score so I get an upgrade in my seat.
Yeah, well, Cathay Pacific does a lot of stuff like that, don't they? With
the lounge in San Francisco.
The lounge in San Francisco's got clout gating, but besides that, still
not a great lounge either.
To get upgrades at Cathay is the old-fashioned sort of social networking where you actually know somebody. Who knows somebody inside Cathay who can like pull strings.
Yeah.
And we should never underestimate the value of real social interaction and connection.
Because when I travel personally, I don't want to be around any of you guys when I travel. I want to get away from you. So it's like, maybe that's just me. When I'm an old curmudgeon, but I don't want to be that social unless it was a business trip. Maybe.
Yeah, I actually just saw a friend of mine in New York recently launched a new company called Valet, which is quite an interesting concept because it's a valet service for high power, high influence, whatever that means, as we know, social media users. But it provides a service and helps. They have a team that helps facilitate travel arrangements for them, knowing that hotels and restaurants all appreciate having that kind of social buzz about their property. Kind of helps facilitate that. So when you're planning a trip to Los Angeles, for example, they'll help you find a hotel and restaurants to go to that will give you freebies in exchange for your social tweets, I guess.
I just want someone to do my laundry when I'm on trip.
Simple things.
Right. All right. So I'd like to then transition into our sort of final round of the week here, where I invite our guests to drag out their favorite meme of the last couple of weeks or so. So we didn't have an episode last week. Sort of stretch out the time zone. I'm just trying to pull mine up here. So who wants to go first?
I think I got mine queued up.
Andrew?
Africa for Norway was viral that went around this week. As they said, Frostbite Kills 2. It was a group of students who got together to sing a song for all the freezing Norwegian children. Send your radiators to Norway to help those children stop freezing. And it's a very well-produced video. It's remnants of the Live Aid, but it actually has a hidden meaning. If you go in deep to the site, you find out that their attitude is, if all you saw about Norway was freezing kids, you'd have a pretty warped view about Norway. Well, what happens when all you think about Africa is starving children and corruption and wars? He says Africa's a lot more than that. And it's a sort of a statement by some of the new young entrepreneurial Africans that we're seeing who are really getting into the digital space, and they're using this as a way of pushing their message.
Do you have the video for us? Can we see Andrew? Can anybody hear me? Jocelyn?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I can see Andrew, but can't hear him.
Oh, can you see the video or?
Oh, not yet.
Oh, stupid computer. Oh, let's just cancel this. This thing never really shares well.
No, the YouTube sharing function on it doesn't work like it should.
Oh, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, now that.
But you have to actually click into it.
Do I have to click on the YouTube thing over on the side as well? Watch this crash everything.
Did that play at all? Let me try with a screen share. That'll work.
That played for me, but I had to set it myself.
Here we go. Let me do this. Now I've got it as a screen share, but I don't think that'll play with the volume.
Oh yeah, that is working. Oh, it was for a second.
Yeah, now I've got it set up as a screen share, and but I doubt the audio is working.
The sound doesn't come through now.
Oh, on a screen share?
No.
Yeah. Oh well. Come on, Google Plus, get this sorted out. Anyway, it's definitely worth looking. Type Africa for Norway into YouTube and take a look, and then follow the links to their website and read what they're really trying to do. It's kind of interesting. I'll pass on to the next.
All right. What about, there's something about an elevator. What was that, Jocelyn?
I'm not sure if you guys have seen this floating around this week, and it's not perhaps as sophisticated as the Africa helping Norway example, but it's this prank video, a kind of candid camera style that was done in Brazil, where
Oh, yeah.
did you guys see that? Where people
Yeah.
are riding in the elevator, the lights shut out suddenly, and then some creepy-looking little girl jumps out. And some of these people really go into a panic, and everyone's been passing it around quite heavily these last few days. And then I saw last night all the lawsuit articles started coming out about it, which is always kind of funny to watch how quickly that cycle can take, depending on how quickly something goes viral.
Yeah, I also like elevator prank is the Samsung elevator prank, where they put digital TVs in the floor and then simulated the floor falling out of the elevator
Right, yeah.
and videotaped the people freaking out, jumping up in the air, trying to save themselves.
Oh, that's
But
a
that
good
was
idea.
to sell something, saying it's so real. It really does look real.
I love that.
Oh wow!
I've got one, and interesting enough, it's still in the is this real or is this a hoax category. A couple in the U.S. Have just given birth to a baby girl who they claim has been named hashtag. They put this up on their Facebook page and said, hashtag Jameson's been born. I don't know. Part of me is like, you know what? Yeah, it's possible. There was an Egyptian man, servant Egyptian man earlier in the year who'd named his son Facebook in memory of the, I guess in honor of the effect it had on liberating, his country. But naming your kid hashtag, it seems to me that that's a little bit on the crazy side.
I just imagine when that kid goes to school and his teacher's reading the names off the list, they're going to be like, what is this?
It's a girl as well. I mean, maybe you short it down like, hey, little hash, how you doing, hash? Hey, tag, baby. Like, I don't know. Is it a sign of the times? Is it just, people people are crazy. I mean, people have named their kids like wacky things throughout the ages, right? Here in Hong Kong, we're no strangers to people picking ridiculous names for themselves.
You should see my Chinese name.
Yeah,
Wong Fei Hong.
Works both ways, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of her, or whether it's even real. Andrew, what do you got there?
Oh, this just popped up on my Google Plus stream. This is some guy's new Battlefield video game simulator.
It's awesome.
I don't know if you can see it.
I like how he's drawn the rivets on it as well. It's very classic.
It's important that your cardboard have rivets. Anyway, this is popular on Google Plus this afternoon.
That's really funny.
It's sad, demented and sad.
And for those of you watching at home who wonder why do they bring these crazy things onto the show and share them around at the end, this is my rationale and my explanation. These things that we share online are social currency. We exchange them, and through the exchange of this currency, we deepen relationships. And if you want to get a interesting and active person who ends up with one of these so-called influence scores, you could do worse than find interesting, cool stuff that your friends are going to like and put it up on your social media presence. This is what human beings do. We're social creatures. The water cooler is now a digital water cooler. It is the Facebooks and G Pluses and Twitters, and we share our social currency there, and it can be anything. Relationships don't have to be formed over massive things. People often talk about how, Twitter's just full of people talking about what they had for breakfast, and sure, Instagram's full of people taking pictures of their breakfast, but it doesn't matter. It's being touched by somebody that allows the relationship to be deepened. It almost doesn't matter what the currency is. Of course, the more valuable it is, the more likely somebody will reshare it. If I give to you something funny, interesting, wacky, there's a good chance then you can put that out and gain deeper relationships with your connections on top of that. And that's how stuff goes viral, because a lot of people find it valuable. Anyways, that's my social currency explanation. And yes, it's Free Plug Friday. Any last parting shots, things you want to announce, things coming up?
No. The Sun may return to Hong Kong next month.
We've got HK Social next Friday.
We do have HK Social next Friday, and I've got yes, that'll be great. We're going to do a year-end wrap, talk about the cool stuff in 2012, what's happened. Sneak peek for everybody. If you were with us in the January session of HK Social 11 months ago, I told everybody what I thought the social network of the year was going to be, and we'll see if next Friday that still holds true.
It's the end of the year already?
Yeah.
God.
And even more exciting news for those of you who don't like getting up for breakfast, contrary to some of our founding...
Oh, Jay's is silent.
Oh, we can't hear you, Jay.
Oh, hello, I'm still here.
There we go. Now you're better.
My back. So anyways, we we are having a Christmas drinks party in conjunction with the good folks at TDHK. That includes Piper Casey, who is on that list, and Jamie S. And that will be at Rax on December 13th. So those of you who can help partay, please do.
I have to buy Christmas gifts now.
If you're not done your Christmas shopping now, Andrew, it's too late.
No, it's
Really.
what is it? November.
You've got till close of business today. If you're not done before December 1st.
It's all over.
All right, so we all have some Christmas shopping to go off and do. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining the chat today. Thanks to Jocelyn Leapford over at TBWA, Fernando Gross down in Singapore from his library. Great having you. Thank you so much. Andrew Layden, once again, good having you on the show, and good luck moving all those extra war books you've got lying around.
Start another one.
I'm Jay Otway. Thank you once again for tuning in to Social Currents, and please leave your comments on the YouTube bit stuff below if that's where you're watching it, and we will see you next week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Later. Merry Christmas.